Think of this time as Soul Care with your hosts, Tiara and Corinne. Wow. Welcome to season 3.
Mm,
How do you feel?
season 3. Well, what keeps me going is that we've outlived a lot of other podcasts. So that means, again, we're officially podcasters. As each new episode comes to pass, I feel more and more official because, as most people know, I didn't want to do a podcast. I didn't feel like I could be a podcaster. But here we are, season 3. So I'm really proud of it.
And so graceful, might I add.
Oh,
I
thank
just
you.
so grateful to have you as my co-host. We've been doing this thing since the beginning, just us. So that's just really cool to be at season 3. I'm just like, and every season has been different. And so for this season, we are giving you guys audio only.
hmm I think people
And I
have
love
voices,
that.
so it works. It definitely
Yes.
works. It's definitely a change because people are used to seeing our beautiful faces, but it's the brains behind the beauty, and I think that the things that we talk about are important to our listeners, and by going faceless, it allows people to zero more in on what we're talking about.
Yes.
And it's more convenient because our businesses are booming, and this is what works for this season that we're in.
I love that. I
Hmm
love that. One, I just love the growth of the podcast. Season 1, we started out with a little bit of us, a couple of our, close friends and guests. And then season 2, we went all guests and then just like stepped outside of the whole notary industry and really just like dug into different professions and just to show people so much space and variety when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? It's like there's so much you could do with it.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as like from season 1 to now, it was almost like a live living journal of
Hmm.
our, because we started at the beginning like you said, and where we were season 1 episode 1 when I talked about fear, and where I am season 3 episode 1
Yeah.
is a world different. And it was only what, a year ago? Was it a
Yeah.
year ago? Wow.
Yes. Hmm.
Wow. So yeah, we've evolved in so many ways, and the journey that we've taken people on, they were actually on our journey as we evolve and grow. And it's so interesting because, like, one day we got to talk about like the different episodes we've done, especially season 1, and if
Yes.
our perspectives have changed about those topics. Now that would be fun, because they probably have in some ways, because as you have more experiences under your belt and you look back at things, your perception and your insight about those topics can change too.
I love that. That's actually a concept. Y'all tell us if y'all want that. We talked about imposter syndrome. We talked about the yi yay effect, whatever the hell it's called. I still ain't got it right. 2 seasons later, and I still don't have it right, guys. Is it the yi effect or yay effect?
Think
Which
of,
one?
say Kanye's name in your head, and it's
Okay.
Yay. It's Yay.
Yay.
Kanye.
Okay. The yay effect. I really hope Kanye listens to this one day. I really do. But yeah, even talking about that, talking about fear and just the journey, like you said, that you go on with entrepreneurship. But I love that you kind of talk about like taking it back to where we were in our businesses when we first started recording versus, where we are now.
Right.
And in light of us getting to season 3, us being in a different season within our businesses, I wanted to do kind of like a throwback episode to when we first left our jobs, to when we first decided to go into entrepreneurship, where we were at in terms of the businesses that we were creating, the services or products we were providing, to where we are now, niche down, super clear, super focused. All of our audacious goals are in alignment with, what we feel like is our career for right now. Like this is the real season of entrepreneurship for us.
That's right. Right. And I like how you say for right now, where we are,
Right.
because where we start is not where we finish.
Hmm.
Where we are right now is not the finish line. And so, me running an apostle company, which is very different from doing loan signings, being a notary, was not in the cards. It was not a plan. I didn't know what it was. And here I am. So I'm quite sure we have all these outlooks of what we want our businesses to look like. And when we get to that place in the future, it's probably going to look very different. And to me, in the beginning, I didn't like that because I like to take calculated risks. I like to have that blueprint laid out. But that is literally the opposite of entrepreneurship.
Mm. Break that down real quick for the people, because I think that's a misconception, right? We
Right.
feel like we can't leave our job until we have a set plan. We can't start a business until we have a business plan. Taking that leap of faith, maybe sometimes we're not in the best place financially to fit the plan we have in our head, right? But entrepreneurship is the exact opposite of everything I just said. The plan don't even, I ain't gonna say the plan don't matter, because you still want to have direction on where you're going. But entrepreneurship is literally building a plane in the sky as you're flying it, trying to get to your destination. So the plan is the destination,
Mm-hmm.
but what you do in order to create a successful business, you may have to, do things on the fly. So to talk a little more about that, because that was good.
And then while you're on the plane, you have bad weather.
Yeah.
Okay. You have turbulence. You have
Yeah.
clouds in the way. You have people coughing on the plane. You have COVID. You have
Yep.
all of this stuff happening, but you're still flying that plane. And as a pilot, you're making adjustments because the last thing you want to do is crash. So you
Right.
keep going, and eventually the sun comes out, the clouds clear, and then you're on the front saying, you're letting everybody know we got clear skies, we're approaching our destination. And that's how it is. And you have a sigh of relief until the next storm. And the
Yep.
storms become part of the journey. And along the way, you become a better pilot. And I sound all
Mm.
philosophical, but there are no
It's
truer
real.
words. It's so
Yeah.
true. It's life.
Yeah.
And if you're transitioning from a 9 to 5 job, like both of us, then it could be quite a transition because you get a rule book that you follow, and
Yep.
all the storms and the turbulence is handled by quote unquote higher ups or
Yep.
people who are hired to do that stuff. And you just keep your head down and you do your particular role and you get paid. So there are some guarantees, some perceived safety, but when you run a business, there are so many other factors that play into it. Like, how about your whole customer base, the market, the cost of things, the rising cost of things, you not knowing what you're doing half the time and still wanting to be successful and caring for your family, and then your own mindset challenges. Like it's endless. But I just feel like I have grown tremendously because I thought I had a plan. I became a loan signing agent because I didn't want to be in a job. It promised a lot of money, and at the time it did. And everyone else that I knew of was trying to do the same thing. But then, like everything, the dust settles and you start to kind of reassess like, what exactly do I want? Do I really enjoy this? Because your adrenaline eventually fades.
Yeah.
So all that excitement fades, and it's like, do I want to do this or not? And sometimes it's not about what you want to do. The market will tell you it ain't happening. No one's going to pay.
Right.
So you start to pivot and make adjustments, and then you kind of settle in where you should be, at least for me. So I do apostles now, and it totally matches my personality. It's an analytical field where you help clients kind of manage government processes on their behalf, and it requires constant research, constant problem solving, and it's more so behind the scenes, like this episode.
Mm.
And I absolutely love it. And Tiara, you, of course, you're not doing loan signings. Tell them what you're doing now, which is more in
Yeah.
line with your personality too.
Absolutely. No. The actually, I really didn't even think about that. Wow. One, it's like when I say I'm a full time wedding officiant, people are like, "Oh, that totally fits you, right?" Or I can see that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I never thought about how in alignment this is with my actual personality. The way that you just broke down, being a facilitator coordinator is with your analytical personality. I never even considered that.
It is it's the perfect fit for me. But
Wow.
here's the thing that trips me up about it. I like the fact that So for those who don't understand apostle industry, so if a person is doing business in another country, that means getting married, that means moving there, going to school in another country. Oftentimes the government of that country requires certain documents to be allowed to be there or do business there. And in order for those documents to be accepted in another country, that they must be authenticated from our country to their country in both ways. And so that authentication process is called an apostle certification. And so that's something that anyone can do by, working with their government in their local state and getting the appropriate certifications for their documents to take abroad. But it can be a complicated, overwhelming process for the public. And so they oftentimes use services to do it on their behalf. So, us being a third party service, I help customers do that process by providing them the conveyance. So, I get paid for my knowledge, I get paid for my problem solving skills, and I
Mm-hmm.
deliver the apostle to them. Now, I love it because I get fulfilled by solving a problem in a market, meeting their needs, providing that conveyance. But I also am not standing in front of 100 people, get marrying them. I also am able to lean into my introverted ways, and I have a lot of quiet moments of studying and understanding things, understanding the market, which is how I generate the money that I do by expanding my knowledge. And that is so me.
Yep.
But the tricky thing is that in order to really gain the business that I want, I have to kind of come outside of my shell and be more aggressive and assertive in other ways. So that means
Mm.
by being willing to dare to do things that I haven't done before, be willing to try things out in the market and see if it fails or works,
Right.
be willing to ask for the sale over the phone, be willing to quote the price that I know my time is worth. Like all of that requires a level of confidence that I didn't think I possessed. But
Mm.
when it makes the difference of if your family gonna eat and your bills gonna get
Right.
paid, you start to evolve and it's exciting. So much credit to the Apostle Academy where I learned how to build my business, and it has literally transformed me from the inside out. So it's kind of interesting, and I'm sure for you, Tiara, like even being a wedding officiant, you are not in front of hundreds of people all the time. You spend a lot of time behind the scenes literally
Yeah.
doing the opposite, but it requires just as much time and commitment in order to build it. So it's funny, like the journey is like two sides to everything. And what you think you're
Mm-hmm.
going to get, like people sign up to do certain things or they catch the wave to take on whatever's trending, but the true work behind it to be successful is most likely the opposite of what you think you have to do.
Ooh, yes, that is such a great point. That
Hmm.
is such a great point. Um, I love that. I love that journey. I love how, you really kind of just broke down why Apostles is perfect for you. And for me, wedding officiating is perfect, not because I love love, which I do. I always want to contribute to healthy relationships, but for me, it fit my like lifestyle the best. I knew I wanted to work from home, which is what I do 90% of the time. And I work with couples. So it's like a couple, they contact me, we have a virtual consultation. You book me. All of our planning meetings are virtual. Majority of the time, I do not meet my couples in person until their actual wedding day, where we're all dressed up and cute and ready to have a good time and celebrate, and I get to take all of those moments that I shared with them virtually and really showcase my own skill set. I get to showcase my storytelling, I get to showcase my public speaking, and I think about it as like reps, right? So for me, I still get nervous. I always pray before I do anything. In all of my meetings, we start off with gratitude. And I just noticed that's something that shout out to Mr. New Skills, New You, Bruce Hill. Okay.
Hmm.
Every class I've ever taken with him, any trainings I ever been with him, or any one-on-one time I ever had with him, he's always started our meetings with gratitude and checking in on me as a person. And one thing that we learn as entrepreneurs is like, when something feels good for us, or allows us to alleviate stress, it can do the same thing for the next person.
Mhm.
And that's something that I got and I felt in every meeting with him. And I was like, I want people that meet with me to feel that same sign of relief, to feel that same feeling of care
Mhm.
and compassion. And it's so important in the wedding industry because a lot of the times there's stress between planning a wedding, there's stress between the money to plan a wedding, it's a lot of decisions to make. And so you don't want to treat your couple like they're any other couple, and you don't want them to look at you like any other vendor.
Mhm.
So the relationship building was extremely important to me and very much so on brand for me and my character because I want to learn about people. I want to talk to you. I want to learn about you. We gonna laugh. We gonna kiki. When you see me, you see the sun. Okay, I'm the sunshine.
I love that because, like, yeah, it doesn't really matter if you are dealing with people as as a service provider. I think if you don't include ensuring that people know that you see them and that they matter, I don't care what the service is, that is so impactful for your business.
Yes.
And I am not marrying people. I am not having, but I am involved in pivotal moments in their life. They're moving to another country. They're getting married in another country. They are taking work in another country. Whatever the case is, it's an important process. Sometimes they are stressed about it. And I at first felt like I have to posture myself as the expert, and I would be super serious, and that can be off-putting too. But when
Yeah.
people want to, feel disarmed and not stressed, sometimes just be yourself. It's like the power of human connection can go a long way, even for your
Hmm.
pockets. And
Yes.
so I am big on making a person, no matter what the culture, gender, background, they know that they're talking to another regular person on the other end who has what they need. They got what I need, okay? And I have what
Yep.
they need. And
Yep.
together we're going to exchange that value, and we're gonna be friends during the process. And it has worked. It has worked
Hmm.
tremendously, and it allows me to give myself grace because I'm still learning. I think we'll always be learning as we are building our businesses, maintaining our businesses, and even shifting to other things. We're constantly learning new things, so we'll never always get it right. And when we do, we're gonna make mistakes sometimes. And so when you have that connection with your client, they will give you grace too. As long as your
Yep.
intentions are in the right place and you ain't completely screw it up, it's effective. So that's so important that your sunshine wherever you go, honey.
Absolutely. And I want to encourage people like find where you shine the brightest and then like don't do things to dim it. Because I
Mm,
feel like we do that sometimes. It's like we spread ourselves too thin. Coming it's leaving your business excuse me, leaving your job and going into entrepreneurship and starting your own business has so many fears attached to it.
mm,
And I feel
mm.
like that causes us to start to dim ourselves. We are fearful what our family's going to say. We're fearful that we're going to get rejected in the market. We're fearful that we're not going to meet the financial stability that our job once provided us. And they're all legitimate fears. They're
Mhm.
absolutely legitimate fears. But we don't shine when we're feeling fearful. We tend to just reclude and really go into ourselves, and that makes our business suffer,
Yep.
literally.
That is so true. And I know Cam, who is my apostle coach, she would always say to me, Sometimes you may wake up and you don't want to get out of bed. I'll give
Mhm.
you one day to do that. Go ahead and stay in the bed because we're human. We have fearful moments. You can stay in the bed. You can stay all day if you need to. But at some point, I'm gonna give you one day. You're gonna get up and you're gonna do it again. You're gonna do it better because you've learned. So we have to be patient with ourselves, but we also have to manage fear because fear will paralyze you. And as
Yeah.
you all know, like the first episode of the podcast, I talked about the other side of fear. And at that time, I was talking about the fear of quitting my job, the fear of starting a business, the fear of all of these things that I overcame. And the fears continuously pop up. They show up
Yep.
in life in new ways, and fear is still very much present in my life, for sure.
Mhm.
And it is very stressful, but I have methods to manage it, and I don't always do it well. There are times when I get so lost in my fear that I embody it and I don't use my toolkit. from the podcast. I don't use any of that, but I don't allow myself to stay down forever. So fear can have a lot of impact on me in a negative way, but it doesn't allow me to quit. And I can't always say that that was the case in the past. And so it is such a beautiful thing to reflect, a year later about fear. And like even something small like this, like we're recording, you just hear our voices, and I was telling Tiara before we started recording that, like, I need to not be nervous. Like, what are we nervous about? Like, I got a lot to say. I know it's valuable. You don't have to see my face. I don't have to be self-conscious about how I appear when I'm speaking. It's none of that. It's just us talking about real stuff that we would talk about on the phone. So when I was saying it to her, I was really working through my fear. Okay. And the fear is based on what? Maybe based on old habits of addressing change, habits of self-worth. Like, okay, now you don't see me, is what I'm going to talk about, is it going to be of any value? Like, you question those
Hmm.
things. But and that's in all of us, is what you do about it when it comes. So
Yep.
I didn't come into this podcast, just chilling like this is a regular day. I do have certain things about my personality that are challenging, but I'm still doing it. We're still recording. I'm still talking, speaking my truth, and I am intentionally showcasing the best version of myself in all of its authenticity. And I think it's so important for everybody to do that, because it doesn't necessarily get easier. It may feel easier because you make a habit of approaching things differently.
Mm.
I make a habit of that. So if I made a habit of running, then the emotions behind the fear gets massive when you attempt to overcome it. So I just want my life to be easier. So I just say, you know what? When scary things happen, it feels just as frightening as the first scary thing I've experienced, but I just recognize it as just an emotion. All right, how are we going to tackle this thing? And I try to overcome it. And when I look back, I think we can all say, if we're alive and our heart is beating, we've overcome it 100% of the time.
Yeah,
You think that's a
absolutely.
stretch?
No, I think that's absolutely true. And here's why. So I believe in the philosophy of, if you can do it one time, you can do it again, right? And so this is my first time building a business. So, so the fear was definitely there. It was just like super just present. It was super present. But what was more present is the fact that it's like, but you've gotten a job before.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, entrepreneurship is just uh, communicating your value to a customer so much so that they believe in paying you. And that's all that we did on job interviews. I went to a job interview, I communicated my value to this employer, and I guarantee that I would provide X, Y, and Z services for this amount of payment. So I think sometimes we think so super um hyperbolic about stuff, and by that I just mean like it's an exaggeration, like, oh, business ownership is so scary, how am I going to do this, how am I going to do that, and I don't know this, I don't know that, but we don't take into consideration all of our transferable skills from all of the things that we have done in the past and all the things we have accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
And so it may not be exactly the same, but we did something similar and we were able to overcome that, we were able to accomplish or be triumphant in that space. So why can't we take those transferable skills, confidence, and vision and focus and put that into this new project, which feels scary, but it's because we haven't done it before, but we've done so many things similar too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, it's like once I can do it one time, I know I can do it again. And I love how you spoke about even in the growth, right? We're talking a year later, we're talking about fear, we're talking about being in a different position within our careers and our businesses that make sense for us and we feel finally in alignment. All those things we were searching for in season one, we feel like we've found a portion of it
Right.
in
Right.
season three. A portion.
Portion.
Okay. But you also talked about how the fears do not leave, they just adapt, right? So there's fear of expansion,
Mm-hmm.
there's fear of new services, there's fear of new products we put out there, there's fear of new prices. Like I've raised my prices from when I first became an officiant. I think my first wedding I did was like 350. Not bad, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
like now I get paid 750.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's within a year, but I had to raise that price from 350. I had to tell people that the 350 is on the lower end. I know a little bit more. I do a little bit more. I'm going to provide you with a little bit more, and I know that not only am I solving your problem, alleviating your stress, but I'm also depositing joy into your life. Now I need a little bit more for that.
It's called fair exchange. It's called fair exchange. And if you know if you've assessed your business, you know what the value of your time, the value of your energy is in that exchange, then you should command that price and sell it appropriately so that that client customer in front of you understands that and they make that exchange, because we our customers are everybody, not for everybody. And so
Right.
I've learned that. And it's so interesting. I did the opposite. I came out the gate with prices that were very high. And because I just was trying to get to the money immediately. And as my coach would say, every order cannot pay your mortgage, Corinne. You can't stop looking at it that way. And so I readjusted because I got a lot of calls, but I didn't get a lot of closings. And so I ended up adjusting my price, bringing it down to what was fair exchange. So what I'm offering you makes sense to what you're going to pay me, and it is still very lucrative, I might add. And I felt more confident around it. I could sell it better. And so you just kind of learn and evolve. So you have to, and not just studying the craft that you're doing, but also studying yourself and be willing to stretch and grow and make adjustments along the way. So, girl, we have been around the world, around the moon, quite a few times, because I feel like our conversation is slightly different than it was a year ago.
Oh no, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's funny because it's like, and my mentors still tell me I charge too low. I'm just like, okay, like just give me a moment. Like sometimes even as entrepreneurs, you have to wrap your head around just like finances and where do you see yourself monetarily, because we've been capped for so long at a job where they tell us how much we can make, and we're asking for pennies in comparison to what you can make in entrepreneurship, but you're asking for pennies for like these bonuses or like these raises, and we're hoping and praying for bonuses and all these other ways to make additional money. But when you come into entrepreneurship, it don't matter what industry you're in, your uh capacity is limitless.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really, really is. But you have to get out of your own money mindset about what you can make, because we can also limit ourselves of what we think we can do and limit our capabilities when we're literally in a position where it's like just open space and opportunity, literally.
So true. So true. And that's definitely a whole episode within itself about money mindset and how we evolve and change, and our prices dictate that.
Oh, it's okay. We gonna get into it, honey. This is season three. Okay, we giving all the game, all the gems, and really just how to build, like a healthy money mindset. I don't even feel like I'm there 110%, but I feel like by the end of season three, I will be,
Okay.
and y'all will be too.
That's what it's about.
Yes, I love that. Well, I would love to hear any tools that you want to give the good people, the listeners, to put into their toolkit. And then I will share some of mine because I think you gave me some. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
I think the most important takeaway from our conversation, is I'm like hearing myself reflect over the year, is what I said at the very beginning. Where we start is not where we finish. And I know
Mm,
we've heard that before. I didn't make it up, but it is so true. We always have a plan for what things are supposed to look like. And oftentimes, when you get there, it doesn't look like that. And that, I've learned, is okay. Even failure is okay, or perceived failure is okay, because it's literally just an opportunity to shift and readjust to be better. So it's all about like refining yourself as a business owner, as a person, as a mother, as a woman, as a friend, and you just become better, because how can you evolve to get to where your destiny is without all the changes that come along the way to kind of sharpen you? So where
mm,
we start, like if y'all go back to episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is not where we are, and that is not where we will be down the line. So even if, by the sound of my voice, you hear me talking now, in a year from now, I would have a different perspective. I may even be in a different business or would have expanded my business. And so there's a lot of hope in that. So don't hold yourself to a standard that you created when you don't have all everything you need to know to even decide that that's where you're going to end up. So
Mm.
just stay open, and it comes with just allowing yourself to be vulnerable, allowing yourself to take risks, and being afraid of that does not indicate that you shouldn't do it.
Ooh, that was good.
Mhm.
I don't even know if I can follow that up. Hold on. Let
Just
me
say
get
I
some juicy
agree.
for y'all.
Amen.
Yes. I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree. I would say my biggest takeaway, and again, I think it's just something that you kind of brought to my eyes that I really didn't even put two and two together on, is just finding something that you genuinely are excited about, that you know can be profitable, and that you see opportunities to build your skill set on, right? Because at the end of the day, being a wedding officiant is great. There's a lot of reasons why people won't do it. Those are the things that I'm attracted to, right? I'm attracted to the public speaking. I'm attracted to me building my skill set as a writer because I was a terrible writer. I hate writing. I took Xbox 3 times in college because I just never wanted to finish the essays. Why am I still writing? That's just how I feel. So I never claimed writing as a superpower, right? But now, because I'm writing short stories from information that is provided to me, it gives it a different flair, right? Now I claim that whimsical storytelling is my superpower.
Mm,
And so I love that for me, but I would not have came across that if I didn't go into, the wedding space and see something that used to be a challenge for me in the past and finding a way to make it like something I'm super good at and now, get paid for it. And as I build my skill with it, get paid, better. So I thought that was like really, really good. So find something that is in alignment with your personality because you're more than likely going to enjoy it, right? You're
mm.
going to find something that's profitable because you still wanted to pay some portion of your bills. Like Cam said, it may not pay your mortgage, right? But it may pay for a vacation, it may pay off some debt, and may let you live a little bit easier. So find something that's profitable and then find opportunities to build your skill set in it, whether it's finding a mentor. Corinne has a mentor who is literally teaching her how to be the best apostille facilitator coordinator in her state and worldwide.
No,
I
she's
have a
teaching me
mentor.
how to walk, like,
Oh,
like how to put one foot in front of the other. Okay, it's beyond the business. Like, mentors are so important because behind the
absolutely.
person doing the work is a person that have
Yep.
other challenges that get in the way of
Yep.
business. And so
Yep.
when you have a mentor that can kind of help manage the whole person, you are blessed for sure.
No,
Mhm.
absolutely. Listen, I have a mentor. I'm so grateful for Wedding Pro, the Fellowship for Change program, because they granted me an amazing mentor.
Yeah.
Okay. Desiree, do not play. Sis be in those meetings like, yes, this is giving me underwhelmed. And I'll be
Oh
like,
my God.
okay.
I love it.
I would never forget that. That was like the best type of like constructive criticism I've ever received because it's so me. Like I would say something like that and I just like, it's just it comes from such a place of love. It comes from a place of experience. It comes from a place of education. And it's like how why would I ever be offended by that? How could
Right.
I?
Right.
You're light years ahead of me. You are where I want to be. You got years in stake in the game. Everything that I'm experiencing right now, you probably experienced it every single year. And who knows what type of intensity because you have different responsibilities than I do. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
how could I ever?
Right. When you want to grow, you can't have your feelings on your sleeve. Like,
No.
offended. You have to be wide open and
Yeah.
willing to be broken apart to be built back up. And that's the number one thing I learned from being a mentee is like, I can't get mad and run. I got to be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I trust you enough to be here. And you're
Mm-hmm.
telling me that you're underwhelmed by what I'm doing. Okay. Tell me what I need to do.
You're
Let's
right.
do it.
Yes. Because if you're feeling that, then that means somebody else that might encounter my services could feel that. And that's never the goal. I
Yep.
want you to feel overwhelmed by how great of a job I did, how much you appreciated me, for helping you with this, blah, 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 blah. But one thing I have to say, and then we got to wrap this up because we can go for hours and
Mm-hmm.
we ain't doing that with y'all this season. We got stuff to do. But the second thing I would say is you speaking about a mentor, breaking you down and build you back up. Please understand that the breaking down should not be like harsh or anything. Well, it may be, but like it should be releasing those unhealthy habits and things that are not working in your business, right? So we need to be careful about how we're taking on the criticism, and like you said, not taking it personally, because sometimes we don't see the bad habits that we have, right? The things that are hindering us from being successful or being fruitful or building businesses or services that are going to be sought after,
That's right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So we really need to pay attention to what is the criticism that's being said and not taking personally, and just making sure that it is going to help our business. Not every mentor is for everybody, but we also need to be coachable.
That's
So it's two parts.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's two parts. And
I'm
that's my
not a
spiel.
proponent of abuse. So no, you should
Right,
not be abused mentally, emotionally, physically, anything like that. But at the
right.
same time, we tend, and we don't even realize it as humans, we may have a kung fu grip on the habits, the ways of perspectives of seeing things that don't serve us.
Right.
And some part of the separation from not what's not working can be perceived to be painful and difficult, and our frustration can be misdirected and we may
Yeah.
feel attacked, but what's happening
Hmm.
is that we're being broken down to be built back up, and that can be very difficult. That's why it's good to understand your role in a mentor mentee relationship. But of course, like you said, Tia, you have to have the right mentor for that.
Yes.
Mm.
So that's my little, PSA. PSA, because you're sharing what your mentor say with you, and people can be like, oh well, and then I'm sharing what my mentor say with me, and people could take that the wrong way. But when I say instantly, I was like, how can I be better? That's literally the first thing I thought. Yeah, I just kind of got a little underwhelmed once we got to this part. Okay, well, how can I overwhelm you? How can I get better? What shifts or changes do I need to beef this up? And so, like, because not only does that provide a better experience for whoever you're working with, that allows you to have more value, which again will in turn allow you to get paid more for your intellectual property.
That's right.
It all works. That's the building up part. Like that's what you mean when you get build up. You get more leads, you get more qualified leads, you get paid more seamlessly. So that's the
Mhm.
whole point.
That's right. I'm with it. Yep.
Okay, y'all. That's our 2 cents. For this episode. We thank you guys so much for tuning into Womenomics. This is season 3. We getting down to the ninnies of the gritties. And
Mhm.
of course, we will see you every Womenomics Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.